On today's episode, I'm going to let you know my top 10 favorite heroes. All of the images and text are owned by DC, Marvel, or Image Comics. I thought it would be best if I started with the heroes, so let's begin. Number 10, Superman. Superman just barely made this list. I got into Superman during the death of Superman, and he is an interesting character, don't get me wrong. But he usually just isn't my cup of tea. And I absolutely hated the New 52 Superman. But what he has done since DC Rebirth has been fantastic. I am really enjoying how they brought back the pre 52 Superman, and I really enjoy the Superman title. I also enjoy the way he is teaching his son John how to use and control his powers. It's really awesome. Number 9, Gambit. I really started getting to know the X-Men during the animated series, and like most kids my age, really started growing a following for Gambit. I guess I really liked how he was a ladies' man, suave, a smart aleck, a fighter who could blow up just about anything he wanted. At the time, that was the definition of cool. I guess it has stuck with me since. Number 8, the Red Hood. The Red Hood, I guess, is more of the anti-hero than a hero, but since the New 52, he really hasn't been a villain at all. I like that he was the second Robin come back to life but with a vengeance, and since the New 52, the characters around him have gave him more depth. And I really like also how it's been a journey of his redemption. Plus, someone with the skills of Batman and the ability to put a bullet in your head at any time, yeah, that's cool. Number 7, Supergirl. I know what you're thinking. Supergirl? Really? Well, I started buying Supergirl for my daughter, and I decided to read it. It was a good story. I like how a teenage girl from an alien planet with superpowers tries to cope with being put into a human society. It's been great so far. I hope they keep it up. Number 6, Deadpool. Yes, the merc with the mouth. A smart-ass hero that loves to kill. What's not to love? I like the craziness he has. I like that he acknowledges you, the reader, and I like the jokes. He would be higher on the list if it weren't for one thing. Sometimes the writing gets way too out there, and it's way too zany. Other than that, he is pretty awesome. Number 5, Robin Tim Drake. In my opinion, I think this has been the greatest Robin of all time. We got to see him transform through the training into Robin. Tim wasn't the best fighter, but he was definitely the smartest of the Robins, and he was so much different from the other three Robins. He wanted to be Robin. He had parents, he had school, he had a girlfriend, felt bad for lying to people. He was relatable. I just can't wait to see what comes of him. And I really believe he got the shaft with his origin and everything else in the New 52. Number 4, Wolverine. He's tough, he loves to fight, has an adamantium skeleton, razor sharp claws, an advanced healing factor, and most importantly, he has attitude. And I'm not talking about this attitude of his that's kind of like at times where it's like, oh, I don't care, I don't. No. What I really like about him is that he has this attitude that carries him. Like he can be a natural born leader, but at the same time, he can take orders and work well with a team. Another thing that makes him really work really well is that he can be a solo guy. He doesn't need the X-Men to boast him. But one thing about him is he tends to boast the X-Men. Another thing that is just great about him is the way he can go into a fight head first. And due to his indestructible skeleton and his razor sharp claws and the healing factor, he can go into a fight and he's going to keep going until that enemy is completely decimated or he can go no longer. And Another thing that really does do him really well for him is the relationships that he makes with people. A lot of times when you have a superhero, they're like, "Oh, everybody around me is so yeah, crap, bull crap." He's one of those type of people that if he doesn't like you, he lets you know about it. Another thing that's good about him is he does build good relationships with people, and those people he holds dear to him. I mean, it's he's got something that you just cannot explain. There's an it factor to him, and if anybody can explain it to me, please leave it in the comments. I really can't explain what it is that makes him so special.
Number 3, Spawn. Spawn is a character I have enjoyed since the very first issue. He is dark, emotional, a complex character that has a necroplasm suit that is basically a tough symbiotic skin. It is also used to in shape shifting, and it's also been very well used to keep and protect him. He has chains that help him move about and can also double as a very powerful weapon. A cape that is almost, at least to me, an instinctive extension of himself. It can be used as a shield and a weapon itself. He has a limited power supply at the beginning of the series that would drain his life force when he decided to use the powers or need to heal himself. Because of this, Spawn would be required to use his previous military background, guns, and his suit to prevent from using his powers. His basic story is a man who sold his soul to Malebolgia to be a high-ranking officer in Hell's army and become a Hellspawn. In exchange, he would be able to return and see his wife. Cruel as deals may be, he returned 5 years in the future. His wife was remarried to his best friend, and to make things worse, had a daughter, something she always wanted. I like how he is a hero with morals, expert combat training, and has no problem killing the wicked or those that mess with him and the ones he cares for. Yet at the same time, he can be so emotional and confused as to what he is doing or even why he is even trying. He is an all around excellent character. Number 2, Batman. I began reading Batman at the time Nightfall was coming out, and I was hooked. Not to mention, Batman the Animated Series helped tremendously. I was introduced to Batman with the old 1966 TV show, and for a 6-year-old, he was cool. Plus, the 1988 movie boasted him for me as well. He's the world's greatest detective, an excellent strategist, and he has enough gadgets and fighting experience that he's able to stand up to just about anybody. I mean, what's not to like about Batman, aside from the terrible Batman and Robin movie and the Frank Miller versions of him? Now, aside from year one, I cannot enjoy any of the Frank Miller stories. That to me, they're just not my Batman. Ugh. I also like the dedication he has to the city of Gotham and working towards ridding it of all of the crime and corruption and ensuring that no 8-year-old boy ever has to go through what he had to go through. Another thing that I find very appealing is that he has rules. Like, he will not kill, he does not use guns, or he uses them at very rarely anyway. And I like that he also has a thing where justice is very important to him. And if he maims or really hurts that person, that kind of hurts the fact that he may not serve the justice that he needs. So he does restrain himself. The Dark Knight also has the greatest rogues gallery of all time. So just about any comic you pick up is bound to be a good one. Heck, even a bad comic of his is better than half the comics out there. Number one, Nightwing. If you'd asked me 10 years ago, I would have easily said Batman was my favorite hero. But as I have read more comics, I can't help but say Dick Grayson as a character, he's just my favorite. He is smart, a very adequate fighter, a mentor to the last two Robins, an unparalleled agility, and he has this true good guy persona. I always like the way he's been able to stand on his own as a character. But when he crosses over and helps Batman, or even when he has been Batman, his character still stands out. Nightwing is able to lead teams such as the Outsiders, the Teen Titans. He's helped develop Damian Wayne into the Robin that he is today. He helped Tim Drake become the Robin that he is today. He also just has this thing where it's hard for a sidekick to step out of the shadows of his former mentor. But I think Nightwing has done a great job of stepping away, going to Bloodhaven, a city that is supposedly more corrupt and more violent than Gotham City, and he's turned that place around. Another thing that I really like about Nightwing is the relationships he has built with these characters throughout the years. Whether it be him as Robin, or him as Nightwing, or him as even Agent 37, he always has this ability to make friends that last a lifetime. He's had several relationships throughout the years, especially with Starfire and Barbara Gordon, whether it be Batgirl or Oracle. And he's always had this way of the DC heroes respect him. Superman respected him. Batman, he's confided in Nightwing several times throughout the years. But another thing that makes Nightwing good is he's not perfect. And he tries to find ways to make the things that he does right again. Another thing I really liked about the Nightwing comic book was that he made him into a cop. I know it's got to be more difficult for a vigilante to go out and not only just be a detective behind the scenes, but also do it right there. I read every Nightwing comic I can get my hands on. And I even have a 20-ounce Nightwing coffee cup that I just adore. And he just, without a shadow of a doubt, is my favorite hero of all time. So there you have it, my top 10 favorite heroes of all time. I would like to really hear what your top 10 favorite heroes are down in the comments. Please remember to hit the like button, and if this is your first time here, hit the subscribe button. We have a lot more content heading your way. And as always, support the writers, artists in your local comic book shop. Thanks for watching.